Hello, welcome to this week's episode of the Open House Show with your host, Jesse Meadow. We've got a great guest here, Jamie Giblett of Digistorm, where we'll talk a little bit about going from advertisement and inbound marketing all the way to a lead for your school. And Jamie's going to really talk about a lot of the products and services and strategies. Let's bring him on. Jamie, how are you, sir? All the way from Colorado.
I'm doing great. Jesse, thanks for having me. Really
Perfect
excited.
attire on today. I love it. You know, you got that from ad to grads, the title. I love it.
We're nailing it today, Jesse. I love it as well.
Excellent. Well, you know, I love Digistorm. For context, you know, we had a great time a couple of years ago at EMA. We've been seeing each other at conferences ever since, and you know, the product that you're bringing to schools here in the States. I mean, tell us a little bit about it. Tell us, you know, about the company yourself as well, and kind of that transition into the States here.
Yeah, sure thing. So Digistorm, we've been building software for K through 12 schools for 11 years now in September. So 11 years and, you know, a month and a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And we found that schools particularly in Australia were not necessarily up to date with the best practice in terms of their websites, having a mobile phone app like this behind me here, or having some admission software that's going to help digitize their process for their families. So things were still, WordPress sites where they just went and got a theme. They were using paper packets for admissions and an app that wasn't even on the radar. So 11 years ago, we made the first app for a school in Australia. Then we went into making websites and admissions software. The journey from there was that I was based in Australia. You probably hear my accent. It's probably the first thing you might have noticed. I was looking after US schools from Australia because there was a lot of interest in particular with our CRM or customer relationship management product for schools. We opened up this office in Colorado almost 3 years ago now. And as Jesse mentioned, I was lucky enough to hang out with him and Chris at EMA in Seattle, and from there I think we've caught up a couple more times since the most recent EMA as well.
That's right.
Yeah, we're here to stay in the US, and look, I'm here to stay as well. I love this country. I love the schools here. I love the people. Jesse, everyone else out there in podcast land. Yeah, it's so good to be here.
That being said, you know, I know we're going to talk a lot about some of these products, some of these services when we talk about the funnel, because you know, pretty much that's where the need is. And you know, when we talk about that enrollment funnel, a lot of schools, and we talked about this on the last one with inbound marketing, you know, defining your audience, you know, who is the persona that you're talking to, and on a very large scale, you know, a top level view, it's the parents of today. And the parents of today and the generation of parents of today have changed quite a bit from what we might be used to. I mean, even my own parents, the way that they were consuming information, the way that they heard about schools and how they researched things, very different from what we should be expecting today. And not only that, the whole flow and the user journey is totally different in that expectation. So, you know, I definitely, if we're going to be talking about the digital enrollment funnel, I want to touch a little bit on your experiences and you know, obviously we go from webinar to webinar to conference, reading article to article about the parents of today and how to market them. So, you know, if you can give us some insights and tell us a little bit about the parents of today, you know, what's attracting them, and, you know, how do we really just initiate them getting into that funnel?
I think the lessons we've learned from the past still apply to communicate through traditional measures as well. But you talked about the current generation. So we're talking about, you know, Gen Y, and then some Gen Z kids, even if we're not thinking about Gen Z, putting it out there now, Gen Z kids are coming into those early grades and wait lists. And, you know, your millennials and your Gen Ys and your Gen Xs traditionally had that emotional connection with marketing. So it was about how does it make you feel, being sold a dream on holistic education. Whereas what we're seeing now with Gen Z is they're responding more to intellectual communication. So what are things that are targeted to, you know, these are the important things that our school delivers for your child. these are the things that, our school is able to provide in a day-to-day experience for your child, as well as that emotional piece that's connecting the millennials and the Gen X's and Y's before them. So they expect instant information. Look at that, my mobile phone in front of my app there.
Oh, yeah.
They expect it to be personalized. They expect that you as the school to already know what they want and tailor messages to them. So it's becoming more and more complex, but thankfully we've got more and more technology to help us with that complexity.
There was a good point that we put up on one of our last episodes, and they were talking about us schools being, a luxury brand. It's a luxury item, especially with the price points, whether you're a day school or a boarding school, either way, and how they don't market like other luxury items in the industry. And, it's really been on our part, bringing a lot of attention to that funnel, not just a push, an event promotion, a random couple of months, what we call random acts of marketing. It's really, there is a brand awareness stage. There is building a storyline. There is getting them to take a small action before they come and take a stronger action, like a tour or an application. And then forget it when they actually get to the admissions office. And now they're in the CRM program. And how do you bring that down? What have you seen, especially as far as traffic is driven to your sites? What are you seeing as far as the tools or the platforms that are available for schools to really try to reach those families, whether it be paid ads or inbound marketing, some content pieces that you're doing there? What are you seeing as kind of most effective as driving those parents to the site?
And the key thing is to know your own unique selling points at your school and build a strategic long-term strategy around those unique selling points that connect with your families. Couple that with a smart digital advertising campaign. And what I mean by that is not just spray and pray. We want to be targeted and we want our audience and connect with them in a meaningful way. Like you said, have that first point of contact, build that story that creates that meaningful connection with the family. And you're right, once they do get to your website, let's not just bombard them with a wall of text. How do I actually find out more information? I've got to click around. Make it simple. Land on the page that then reiterates what you've been telling them along the journey, maybe through targeted ads, maybe through being at the top of a Google search, whether it be through marketing or organically. Reinvigorate that message when they land on your website, and then use tools from there that capture information in a smart way. And what I mean by that is, let's not just get their information, have it land in our inbox, and we're like, oh, great, we got, Jamie just sent a request for more information, or he downloaded our view book. We don't know where Jamie came from. We don't know anything about him. It's the old way of doing things. The new way is, we know he had these touch points through our digital pipeline. So we worked with Jesse to create a campaign, and we know that they touched on X, Y, and Z, these separate campaigns before they came to us. So having those landing pages that collect data in a smart way, so that by the time I land in your inbox, so to say, and you already know a story about me, my family, and what it is going to make me be interested and point down in a certain direction at your school. So
I really liked, when we start talking a lot about having an annual strategy, and this is where you would build out some themes, some talking points. What are your current families saying? What is the local or in a boarding school perspective? What is the perspective of your school? What is the perception of it? When you create the generalized messaging on the front end, all of your organic content, your inbound content, your paid advertisements, your landing pages, they could all be built and put together to be a nice, cohesive plan for a family. Maybe they see an article, they gain some interest. Okay, they come to the website. Now they're going to get another ad, that's retargeting on social media. That's going to drive them to the next stage of the funnel. But all of that is playing on each other. And I need to have those brand awareness stages. You need to have those action stages. You need to have the conversion stages at the right times. Have you seen that work well? I know you're not really on the top of the funnel things,
sure.
But with the clients that are really utilizing that website, the CRM program where they're capturing that data and they're utilizing it in a real intentional way. How are you seeing them use the tools that you guys provide, and how is that working for them?
The theory around how parents / consumers behave. So consumer behavior hasn't really changed that much in 20 or 30 years. What's changed is what drives them to behave in that way. So before, maybe it was a newspaper, maybe it was seeing your billboard. Whereas, like we've talked about, the millennials, Gen Y, Gen Z, it's having those digital touch points that mean something to me, that are personalized. Schools that are having the most success have targeted campaigns, like you said, awareness, to then bring people to make a decision around maybe a small ask, and then to convert them with a bigger ask. But understanding the personas. Well, what's the right messaging for them? What's the right cadence of that messaging?
That's right.
Like we don't
using their words, using their terminology.
That's right. Use their terminology, use the devices they want to receive things on, and in a way that connects with them. And authentic is the other piece I want to use here. We don't, like authenticity, especially the newer generations, they can see straight through something that is just gleaned over with, one thick brush that everybody gets. They know that's not authentic to them. So understanding your personas, understanding the messaging that works with them, and being authentic whilst embracing digital tools, I think is where we're seeing the most success. One final point on that though, marketing and admissions alignment. Having those two functions plugged into each other and working together, I think they're the really important things I see in schools that are really converting and really dominating at the moment.
I couldn't agree more, and it's just we hear about it every year. And the business of the school is really two tracks: capital projects development and enrollment. Either way. In most cases, it's mostly enrollment. Otherwise it's going to be your development office with your donations, your annual funds, capital projects, and things of that nature. So, there's really only two ways to keep this revenue coming and keep everything moving, and to not have those two departments be talking. Okay, well, who are those parents? And then that's where communications and admissions start saying, okay, we'll define that persona. Here's our audience. Here's our tactics. Here's our strategy. But that communication has to come in the planning stages. So, you hit the nail on the head. They've got to start talking to each other if you want to get an efficient campaign from top to bottom. What has been biggest headaches, I guess, or the biggest struggles that you're seeing on that bottom of the funnel? The family's interested, they contact the school, boom. Where are you seeing the biggest struggles with schools?
The cardinal sin of a family getting lost in an inbox and never responded to. That is the worst possible thing. So number one, losing prospective families or interested families in an inbox that's full of urgent and important things. I know how it can get. My inbox gets a little crazy sometimes. So I use a CRM to keep track of when schools are interested in talking to me.
That's right.
So schools that aren't using a CRM to leverage that technology to know when families are interested in speaking to them, start thinking about it. So number one, losing prospective families. That one gives me the biggest headache. But I'm also excited when I hear it because I know I can help straight away. So that's kind of cool.
True.
Then the second place families sometimes get lost is in spreadsheets. So great, I contacted them, I've thrown them on my Google Sheet or my spreadsheet, or I've put them into my student management system as someone who's inquired, and great, I contacted them. And then nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do a follow-up. We've done all this great work to get them invested in our brand, to get them to our website, to do a small ask, to do a big ask, to convert. Hey, I'm interested. Cool. Here's a bit more information. Let me know if you need anything. Seeing that, and then it's just lost on a spreadsheet. Oh, yeah, we haven't spoken to them in 6 or 7 months. That's the second thing. That's the second worst thing we can be doing, is just forgetting about our families. So first, losing a family at the get-go, losing them in a spreadsheet after first contact is the second thing that I see happening. And then the third probably is schools that are starting to make that transition, but they're communicating in a generic way to everybody. So They don't care that it's Jesse, Jamie, or Jacob. It's just one message for everybody. I might have said, my child's really interested in equestrian, and Jesse's kids are interested in water polo. I don't know why I'm going with those examples, but I'm sticking with them. And Jacob's child, because he's a little younger, is interested in getting into esports. But instead of targeting that communication to me about equestrian and water polo to Jesse, and about esports to Jacob, schools are just sending out one generic message about themselves. Like, we have 100 years of tradition. We do this, we do that. Great. We love that you do all that stuff, but make it personal and about the person on the other end of the message.
I not only agree with you, but you are directly being compared to the way someone else is doing something digitally. And it is so common for a CRM system to have organization, automation. It should never be that they're lost. So if you get lost, it's almost, where before, it could happen to anyone. Now it's like, I can't believe that they are just sending me a generic message. Like that why did I have to put interest if they weren't going to send me things related to my interest? The good thing is that at every point, whether you're talking about the ad or we're talking now at the bottom of the funnel, there are options to make things easier. And I only bring up those automations because when we're trying to nurture a lot of those leads. So what are some great tactics, for nurturing those leads and nurturing families? And I guess we kind of flowed that into retention as well. Not just a lead, but a current family. But starting with more of the leads and the prospective families, how do we nurture them through that process once they actually get to, what are some best ways to do that?
Yeah, and you said something really that resonated with me there, is that you're asking them for information and they're not delivering an experience based on that. So why did you ask me for my interests if you're not going to deliver me an experience based on those interests? Why did you ask me what, Sophie or my child wants to do if then the next time I speak to you, it's like it's the first time we've ever met. And then the next time we speak, it's like the first time we've ever met. And then if the school down the road is having a conversation with a family that feels natural and is in their style, unfortunately, whether or not your school is better, the modern family is going to look at, well, I'm having a great conversation over here. I feel like they're listening. I feel like they're delivering information that I want.
That's right.
Maybe your school traditionally is beautiful and has great grounds and you're focusing on that. But in terms of a consumer experience or a family experience, you're not connecting with me. So just wanted to hit back on that. But
no, I hear you. I agree.
But I think the next piece is being able to use tools to track what works as well. So let's learn. We've got the tools. Building the school, building your reputation, building all the different STEAM or STEM programs and your athletics program. That was the real hard work. The easier stuff is what we're talking about today, is communicating that to parents in the right way. So being able to track what works from the moment they see an ad through to becoming enrolled, or maybe seeing an ad and somehow ghosting through your process. Well, what caused that? Can we go back and look at that information? So I think it's really important to be able to have that marketing intelligence, and you don't have to have it up here, like I pointed here. Systems can deliver that for you. And as Jesse's mentioned, we build websites, we build CRMs here. So that's something that we're deeply passionate about at Digistorm is being able to have that marketing intelligence to say, hey, great, this worked, but this over here didn't. So let's learn from it and let's adjust our strategy. We're not going to change our entire strategy. We're just going to make little adjustments as we learn more and more about the journey that is converting with families. So part of that is taking things online. So don't have a great marketing campaign and connect with families and tell them a great story. And then when they get to their website, click here, you got to call us, or click here to send me an email, or click here to download the PDF to do the next step. And then they have to go and write on it. Like, if that is part of your process, I care for you deeply, but really have a look at that for your next admission season, because that's not what families want. They want to be able to land somewhere on their mobile device, quickly fill out a form. Great if the form already knows about me and can kind of autofill some info from last time I spoke to you. Hallelujah if it can do that. So I want an online form. And I don't want an online form just for an inquiry or to download a view book or to book a tour or to come to your open house. I want that for my admissions form. And I don't want you to forget who I am when I get to that stage. See that a lot in schools is nurtured you beautifully, and now it's time to apply. Here's a blank application form like we've never met before. Good luck. I mean, in terms of parent experience, family experience, like some families just going to go, great, I'm investing in school, I want to do it. Other families, they might be at that point with 2 schools. Second school says, hey, here's everything we already know about you. We just really need to know, who's the emergency contact, get some digital signatures from you and maybe make a deposit. Fabulous. Great. I've done that. I've done it all from my phone. I've signed. Happy days. Thank you very much. School or Schoolcraft's digital school, and maybe I won't worry so much about antiquated school down the road. So this doesn't have to be hard. It can sound overwhelming. Like, how am I meant to personalize everything for everybody? Use smart systems that can deliver that at scale for you in resonance with your brand, and in a way that is automated at the right places. And then, Jesse, you kind of touched on it right at the end, is the retention piece. You do that every day. So admissions doesn't stop once they sign the contract.
That's right.
If that's a mindset, let's get out of that mindset. You keep selling to people because they could leave next year. They could leave next semester. They could leave at any time. So we're continuing to engage with them, continuing to show value, continuing to be personalized as we move them through the journey of being part of your school. And then hopefully afterwards makes that job a little easier when we're like, hey, we've got this new project on and we need some capital support. Fond memories of the family of, that was such a great experience. I'm in a position now to be able to help the school out. So I know that was long. No,
that was perfect. I agree with you. You're going to need to have some help with automation, especially if you don't want to have things fall through. But, just like at the top of the funnel, blending the different platforms that everyone's using, having that seamless cycle to the website and then from the website to the admissions office. All of that played amongst each other. It was a holistic kind of approach. Now, what you were just talking about is that nurturing side. And that also needs to be holistic. There'll be some automation pieces, but there's also going to be some personal touch pieces. And the blending of those two together, especially if you've got a mixture of good relationship, good digital experience.
Yep.
This is a school that's going to be putting my child and preparing them for the future ahead. They've got it together. I want to be at a school like this. So it is that blend that I really love that you got to put there.
Totally. And sorry, I was looking at my phone. It's because I was just looking at best schools near me now. This is why parents can compare you. It's because previously I had to call you up and say, oh, when's your next open house? Or see an ad somewhere and you call up and sign up. Whereas now I can find out so much about a school. Oh, there we go. There's a ranked list. Before I've even moved out of my seat, and I can do it in 10 minutes. So if we're not playing the game of connecting with parents of today that can compare you with 5 other schools in 10 minutes, we're missing out. But as Jesse said, we don't want to lose anything else that we do well in that process. So that holistic approach, super important. Aligning marketing and admissions, super important. But using technology and personas to talk to people in meaningful and authentic ways, I think super important.
How have you seen that type of use of technology as far as retention? We talked a lot about in this episode, we talked a lot about how we're getting families attracted and how we're nurturing them through that process. But now they're current students, they're current families, and they will choose to go somewhere else based off of their lived experience.
Yeah,
that app really speaks to that a lot. Are there other things that can be done or that you are seeing done? Touch a little bit on that. With their current students, their current families, how are we keeping them involved in the community to where they don't feel like they need to go, look for another option?
And I think everybody who's reviewing the podcast has probably got their phone within arm's reach right now. So why would we send out an email communication around a newsletter, or why would we deliver, what homework my child has or how they performed in a particular assessment via an email or a letter home? Why wouldn't we have that instant connection with a family that's personalized via an app that is all about your brand? Because to Jesse's point, now they're a current family, they can make a decision to go elsewhere, or maybe there's a sibling or 2 siblings or 3 siblings in the family. Keep giving them that personalized experience, and they're not going to look elsewhere. They're like, it was personalized from the moment I heard about the school online. Now I'm a family, it's still personalized. Like, it's just a no-brainer that the rest of my children are going to be joining this school. And we're talking then about the lifetime value of a family, because then once they're matriculated, again, I keep going on about it, but we often use the app as well to communicate with alumni. So we'll have ways to stay connected with people that are alum, people who are current families, keep your staff engaged as well. I know we're getting a little off track, but we've seen apps being used to keep staff engaged. So having a staff section and somewhere where staff can get information and updates. So parents, staff, students, if they're old enough, we work with schools where the app will communicate directly with the student and let them know, hey, don't forget you've got this homework, or don't forget these are your classes for today, just coming straight through the app. And then you might even be able to see over my shoulder here, when the family's ready to be in the admissions cycle again, it's probably hard to see there, but there's an admissions button on this app. It's like, yeah, I do want to bring in my next child. Boom. I'm going to do it straight from the app, and it's going to take me through to that beautiful process of, hey, Jamie, I remember you. You've got a kid, Jacob, in the school. Are we getting some more kids? Let's go for it. So that retention piece is, in my mind, as important as the conversion piece, which is as important as the attraction piece. Like, all of them work together to ensure that you're not bringing all these new students in and families in, and then they're just kind of dispersing out the other side of your funnel because we're not looking after them as current families. So again, it sounds like a lot, sounds scary, but honestly, all the hard work at a school has been done creating the programs and the buildings and all of that. This stuff, there's technology out there to help you with it. It makes life a whole lot easier to be able to then say, okay, I fully understand my entire top of funnel to bottom of funnel to converted family to retained family to graduated and matriculated family. I understand it all, and I have the data, and I can show you that campaign we run with Schoolcraft Digital converted this many people, and then years later, this many people stayed retained all the way through because we're keeping them retained with our programs or with communication. And then even all the way through to, okay, now this family's a donor. Wow, it came all the way from that first campaign we run with Jesse and the team there at Schoolcraft Digital.
I think you've done a perfect job, laying out, parents of today, how they're receiving information. What does that campaign really need to look like to attract them? Then they get somewhere. Where are they getting? How is that laid out? What does that website look like? What is that experience going to be? And then, once they actually do make that connection and that contact at the school, how are we nurturing that? What are the tools available, especially once they're enrolled as a current student? What are we doing on this end now to really kind of finalize this whole process of from ad to grad? Which actually, to be honest with you, we've talked a little bit about this alumni, and development options for it. It could be even beyond that. So what are we doing in those regards? What tools, capabilities, and tactics are we employing here? I always like to close the show, especially with technology pieces like this. What are we seeing? For me, I would obviously say this app. You should be getting competition, my friend. That is such a great idea. I hope you don't. I hope you own it. But what do you think's coming? CRMs, apps. Like, what do you see on the right? Where do you see the schools, at least in the U.S., where are they going? What are the biggest areas of opportunity for handling the enrollment funnel?
Yeah, we've kind of touched on it right at the end here, and that data, it's big data. It's layering information that is known about families, so demographics about families layered over an admissions process. Think about, like, if you're scrolling Instagram or you're scrolling Facebook or you've jumped back on the Amazon app, it feels like your phone's listening to you or something like that, because it seems to be serving you up what you want before you know you want it. And that's where it's not necessarily here today, but that's where I see it going with the admissions journey, is almost serving families up what they needed and wanted to know before they even knew they needed and wanted it. And big data is what is driving that. So seeing it start to emerge in the education space, it's definitely in tertiary, so higher education. They're already using big data to kind of connect with people before they're even knowing that they're ready to connect. So being able to personalize a journey based on data that you haven't collected via a form. You've got it because you've been able to overlay demographic data over a particular visitor to your website, because you already know all about them before they've even said, hey, I'm interested in water polo or equestrian. You already know. and you already know that what income the household has. So you already know, oh, this is going to be a good family to be able to donate later. So you're already starting to engage them with those sorts of things. Like, hey, check out our cool capital works projects, and this is some awesome stuff that we're doing. So
yeah. No, I could definitely agree with that. You know, it is already here in a lot of other places, but in this industry specifically, it's working its way in here, and it's going to change the whole game. Jamie, I think we've covered a lot here. I really appreciate your time. I think there's been incredible insights. If they, if our viewers didn't know before, they have a much better understanding of the enrollment funnel. You know, all of it is plays on each other and really goes to the entire experience. And I think you've outlined that really well for us today. I wish you nothing but the best. I hope we meet again soon. And I really appreciate you taking the time and talking with all of us today.
Hey, we'll definitely hang out soon, and appreciate you, Jesse, and anyone who's tuned in. It's been really good to be here today. So thanks for having me.
Well, that'll do it for us today. I hope you enjoyed the show. You can catch this at schoolcraftdigital.com under the podcast section or on our YouTube channel. You can just search Schoolcraft Digital. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of the week.